on it, so it was quite an expensive deal for him. This is a picture of my dad at the back end of our one field, and it was always quite wet there. And when we have the tile line and stuff that they put in, it came from back in this area, and it ran down through here. They put a drainage ditch and a tile line, and that helped with the water. I haven't been back there, so I have no idea how it is now. I don't know if Bilderbacks have any problems there at all or not, but we didn't have any after they had put the tile line in for a while. This was the creek, the way it looked, and you can see how it was eroded, and all the way, the whole creek, all the farmers and stuff, they never fenced it off or anything. Well, after they fenced it off, planted trees and everything, and they put rock in and riffraff the shorelines and stuff. It's what it is today now, and it's all grown up and stuff. But that was all washed away, and in the spring of the year when we get a spring flood, that whole thing was all underwater. All that you can see there was underwater. The water would be just maybe a foot underneath the bridge.
I found a quote in the Augusta Union from Walter Lutke, and he said that he could remember losing 5 or 6 acres of oat shocks to flooding. And you look at Thompson Creek today and you would never imagine that kind of, well, of course you wouldn't imagine shocks either, but not that kind of flooding.
This is a picture after they fixed the creek up. Right there is where they buried that cat. This is my youngest sister and myself. I don't remember what our dog's name was.
Rover?
Rover? They did have ad in the paper for people for rooms and stuff, and I had one of my classmates tell me the other day that they had somebody stay at their place. So back then, there wasn't anything to be alarmed of. If somebody was there and needed a room, you put them up. Today, I don't think you do that.
The idea of building motels was only about 10 years old by this time, so there weren't many of them around either.
Well, didn't you have that stagecoach route along there?
The only route we had was a wagon train.
That stagecoach route ran quite a bit further south. It ran between Osseo and Augusta. I believe it ran from Eau Claire to Sparta, kind of a straight line. They quit running that a little bit before we were born.
This was a Queen's contest. There was one local girl that she entered. I believe she was in the county contest and stuff. She didn't make the queen, and that was Joanne Balk. Gerald Strader, he was a businessman in Augusta. He had a clothing store. He was one of the guys that helped get the plowing contest in our area. There's Joanne Balk. This is a picture of Northern States. They had to bring in power, and so they had regular lines that they brought in and furnished the power for all the displays and everything.
This is where Don comes into play. He's got a kind of a cocky look about him because he's just won the county plowing contest. Go ahead, Don, tell us what that was like.
Well, let me get just a little information here. begin with, I don't know if any of you remember Howard Hall, but he came out to see me one afternoon. I was at home on the farm with my dad, and he asked me if I was interested in getting into taking part in this contour plowing contest for the county. And I said, well, I guess I didn't have anything better to do, so yeah, we'll try it. And then after he left, I talked to my dad and I said, you know, we're going to take part in that, but what are we going to use for equipment? We have no tractor, but not really a two-bottom plow. So my dad and I decided we'd go down and see our international dealer, who happened to be Sife. And we went down there and told him our problem. And in '53 was the year when the Super H came out for international. And he said, hey, I just got one of them in. You can use that. And he said, I've got a two-bottom international plow, hydraulic. He said, you can use that too. And well, I said, that all sounds wonderful. But I said, this is over on Mrs. Mabel Strader Farm, which is 3/4 of the way to Osseo. He said, no problem. He said, I'll haul them out there for you. So, hey, we was all set. And so, of course, you know, we had the contest. There was 9 that took part in the contour plowing contest, and which one of them was John Pritchard, who happened to be an assembly man from I don't know, our area or whatever. And so we all took part, 9 of us, and I was just fortunate enough to win.
Well, were you like a demo for the, or did you have to buy them?
Pardon?
Were you like a demo for the dealer, or did you have to buy those plows for the farm?
She wants to know if the tractor and plow were donated for you to use.
Yes, yeah, it didn't cost him nothing. He just, well, I'll tell you, just wait. I got something here. You can't probably see it from there, but then next week in our local paper, this showed up. You probably can't see it, but I will read it to you.
We do have that picture of Chet's ad.
Yeah, you got that?
Oh yeah, that's coming up a little later. It's,
Well, okay, but anyway, on the ad it said Don Strauch is the winner, Eau Claire County Contest. I guess maybe if I use my glasses. Oh, there it is, okay.
Oh, sorry guys, hold on, sorry.
But you didn't get to practice then. How did you know what to do?
Okay, it's all better. I got glasses on now. But anyway, it said Don Strauch is in winning the Eau Claire County Contest Contour Plowing Championship, proved again that farm all tractors and international farm equipment are your winning choice for your farm field work. Don proved that they're worth in the field. And then down below, of course, he put as a picture of me and the tractor and plow, and come in and see the Super H farm all tractor and the chronic number 8 plow that proved to be a winner. And of course, that was just advertising for him. But he was good enough to, you know, haul it out there, get it back, let me use it. That was all free. There was no gas, and everything was free.
but did he wind up selling you the tractor?
No, he did not. He did not. We did have a tractor we bought from him, but that wasn't that old. But no, he did not sell us a tractor.
I came across the names of some of the other guys in the county contest. Along with John Pritchard, there was a James Ray from Eau Claire, George Knutson from Fall Creek, Jerry Haas from Cleghorn, and Philip Olson from Oliva. I don't know if anybody recognizes those names.
Well,
I didn't.
James Ray, I guess he was from Eau Claire, but I never, you know, got near any of the guys.
About how long did it take you to plow in that county contest?
Well, I don't know. I suppose we got it done within an hour. I again, it was really, they didn't come and say, you gotta get it done in a half hour. I don't think time was really an issue there.
For those of you who don't know, the Strader Farm is part of the Schroeder-Odell complex now, and it's at the intersection of R and double N. So it would be south of double N and west of R.
That's one of the few farms where you can stand in a yard and see all four corners of the farm. It's that level. Most of the time on your farm you got hills or something, but that is one of the few farms that you can do that.
But they did have a nice little upgrade back there for
yes,
contour
right.
plowing.
Yeah, it was ideal for that.
This right here was a day or two before the contest actually was held. We had this corn and we had to get it off. We had people there all the time, so we had to work from before sun up until after sundown. And we were going, they kept us jumping all the time. Back then you didn't have the equipment that you have now, so we ended up having to get it off in there in a short time, which we did. And this kid that's standing on behind me on the tractor there was Arthur Strauch. He was from New Jersey. Him and his sister, Doughboy Feeds, sponsored them. They came and lived with us for a week. The biggest farm that they had ever been on was 3/4 of an acre, so they were pretty excited about being there. This is Arthur and his sister Elise. This was one of our calves that we showed in 4-H. Later on here we'll have some pictures and stuff of our 4-H club. And at the time, Don Strauch was our 4-H leader.
Is that a Jersey there?
Right there's Don. And this is Bobby Poise, Eugene Brown, Jimmy Brown, Gracie Keene, Karen Van, my little sister Sally, or Alice, Mary Ann, this is Arthur, this is Johnny Brown here, you can't see them all. This is Kathy Zell and Jane Keene, and of course Donnie, our leader.
He was a wonderful leader, I must say.
Oh, he paid Sally for that. Kids up, she got a treat, right?
You believe what I told you now about John having two brains. He can remember everybody in that picture. That's amazing.
That one right there, I don't know who it is. All I can see is her arm. Here's Pat Kelleher. He was a big push in the contest. I believe he was with WAU, wasn't he?
I think he was.
He was kind of like what Bob Bosold is today, except WAU radio 790 did about the same kinds of things that Wax does today. His title was Field Layout Chairman. Now, just imagine something this big, what a field layout chairman would have to do. But when John and Donnie talk about this operation, they consider him to be the main man in charge.
This is showing the different numbers that there was there. They had 350,000 watts of electricity. They figured 68,000 people there the second day, and they figured it earned $50,000 to the food stands. 20,000 cars parked by 11 a.m. the second day, and 16,000 first day visitors. 10,200 feet of drainage tile buried, 7,000 gallons of gasoline and oil, 180 rods of fencing, 125 airplanes parked at nearby temporary airport, and that airport runway was where Russell Corner School, now it's a house, but it runs to the north there between the creamery and the school, that field where all of the water lines and stuff that they have for spraying their water and stuff in, that was where they had their airport.
What would that be? Companies coming in or other farmers had airplanes?
Could have been anybody. Could have been anyone.
I just wanted to go back up to the map. It does actually show that, but I don't know about you all, but it would make me sick if I had to watch someone flip through all these slide pieces. So the airfield is right up there in the top left.
See, it would be
Right in the very corner.
right up in there.
Yeah, right there it is.
I think the next number John is going to get to, it says 105 or 6 members of the Eau Claire Senior High Band. And if you can stand those chairs long enough to wait until they show the film that was made, John and I were looking at it and we couldn't figure out, there's too many tubas for the Augusta Band. And the uniforms, it looked like they were kind of purple and gold, and that didn't make sense, but apparently it was special trim for the Eau Claire Band, but they had about 7 or 8 tubas, and you will see that.
They had state traffic patrol officers. There was 40 of them, and they did a heck of a job because my sister worked in the bank in Augusta. She tried to come home, and they wouldn't let her come home. They didn't believe that she lived there. So that was all security that they had for Benson and for Kohler. There's one person that got hurt and said that he was critically injured. He got run over by a tractor down on the stream bank improvement. They give him some first aid at the farm there, and they hauled him up to Eau Claire, and he was in critical condition. They thought he maybe would be losing his left arm. He was run over, the left side of his body was run over by the tractor. I have no idea what ever happened, if he lost a limb or whatever, but he was injured. That was the only accident that they had out of, they say 68,000, but my dad said that he figured there was more than that there. He was to Minnesota one before, and he said ours was bigger than theirs, so. And here is your bathrooms.
See what I mean about it? That lady looks like, oh, why didn't I remember to go to the bathroom before I left home?
Remember
I think she was standing guard there.
That was Don's aunt, Frida. Oh, really? Oh, what's kidding?
I don't remember if there was more. I think they just had the two, one for men and one for the women.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Now, these concession stands, Gene, you said they didn't really tell you what you were supposed to sell, right?
No, whatever your church or your group brought was sold. I mean, your pies or whatever your group wanted to sell.
Was it churches and civic groups that did
ours
it?
was a church.
Now, again, Harvey told me a wonderful story. He was in high school in Fall Creek at the time, member of the FFA, and so they set up a food stand. Unfortunately, they located them over where Bob and Carol Poy's farm is now, so they were off the beaten track and in a place where nobody came by. And so in the long run, they wound up losing money, and they had to declare bankruptcy. I had never heard of that before.
And the people there, Carol Poy's is the little girl, and then her mother is facing us.
Oh. This is a picture here of it's a side hill. It would be on the south side of where your tents were. In this area here is where they were plowing. And this was a few of the people that were watching it here. And then there was all kinds of people. All these tents here had machinery and all kinds of exhibits and everything in there. There was one tent that had exhibits of farm accidents, and they showed a lot of pictures, and they had made up dummies and stuff where they'd gotten into power takeoffs, and it was really gruesome. But this was the crowd that was watching these guys plow. And here's our winner. This is his trophy that he got.
Now, for being in the state contest, of course, that meant he got to go to the banquet, and there is the menu. Don, was the plowing any different in the state than it had been in the county?
I would say no, it was not a problem, no.
And then, what about the banquet?
Well, I'll tell you, the banquet was, I got a little story with the banquet, so we might as well do that. At the banquet, they suggested that, there was 2 places, so why not 2 people come? And that was kind of hard for me because I wasn't married. And I hadn't seen a girl, I just knew her by acquaintance. And I'd probably taken her out on one date in the spring, and this was fall, and she probably didn't remember me anymore. So, it's hard to ask, you know what I mean? So anyway, I did ask her, and guess what? She said yes. And then the thing about it was that started a romance for 3 years. And then we've been married for 59. So it must have been a good deal.